Hello, today I'm going to talk about origami paper. Can you origami? I have tried for years to learn to origami, and there's something about the fine motor and the eye-hand coordination or whatever, but I haven't been able to master origami. Several years ago in our office we had a visiting scholar from China who came and spent a year with us to learn how to do to learn certain techniques, and he spent 30 minutes for an entire year a week to try to teach me. So I had gone out and bought all of this origami paper. Now this is, like 8 or 9 years ago, and so I have had this origami sitting here in my stash. It is such beautiful paper. So much can be done with it. And so what I proceeded to do was put two pieces together. So I glued two pieces together. And I've tried to, basically I'm going to be doing about the simplest folding that you can do. So if I can do this, you can do this. You do first start with your paper by folding it in several different places. You fold it in half one way and in half the other way, and then you fold it diagonally one way and diagonally or across the other way. And the secret is to get the folds good, to get the folds right. Otherwise, you do have, just a little edge that, that shows that you have to, cut off very, very carefully. But I have figured out a couple of things that I can do with this that look good for junk journals. So after I have folded it that way to start with, every piece of paper is folded that way. Then I'm going to take this, and from the diagonal part, I'm going to fold it down like so. And then I'm going to take this, and everything takes a certain fold. So I can do these like so. And actually, this makes a little envelope. You would have to glue it all down or sew it. But what I did was I made some envelopes out of that. So here's what, here's the way it comes. And then on some of these that I folded and glued together, I left the corners open so that I could possibly put a magnet. So I have my magnets here. I'm going to pull one of these off, and I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm going to have a positive side and a negative side. So I'm going to put this down here so that it's the positive side that comes. Okay. I'm going to glue it together down. So get that good and folded. And of course, optimally it would dry. But that would give it that, or I could put some sort of edge or piece of finish on it. And then I would take the other one, and the negative side would be up this way. So I'm going to pull this just a little bit and put the negative side right here so that it will match with the positive side. And then I'm going to glue this down. So that's just your basic folding. And then once you put them together and fold them, fold this like so, and let it dry really good, and maybe you would have to glue all of this down. And then when you fold it over, it has a little, has that, well, I guess it does. But it does, it just has not glued down. So that's one thing that I have learned to do with my origami papers. And then let's take a look at another example. This example here is where I had to glue two pieces together. You start with your regular folds, and then what you do is just fold it like this, and you have like a Patricia Veramonte fold. If you all know who, you know, she's kind of the guru for paper folding. And what I did with these is I did put a little, you know, you have to glue all your layers, you know, together. But, you know, that would make a great pocket on a, you know, on a page, you know, just like this. Or you could put a decorative, I could take the trim that I have here and add it to this part, so you have two folds on the page. And speaking of folds on the page, I also, this particular manner of doing it, used a lot of my paper, because what I did was I took two pieces and I sewed them together. So that's 4 sheets right there. And then I took this, I took 2 more sheets and I put them like so. And since a lot of my, since I wanted to leave, you know, many open so that I could put magnets on it, I, you know, would have to re-glue that. But I just took it and folded it like that and put it on the side. And I can now have 2 pockets, and I've used 8 sheets of origami paper. Of course, I can decorate it, put lace on it, do all sorts of things with it. So that is another thing that I have found works very, very effectively. The other thing is to take a piece, and once you get it like this, fold it all 4 sides. Well, let's do it like this, and then we would do it like this to get it nice and even. And then, so you would do some thin folding along here, thin gluing, and then make your envelope right here. So I need to make sure that I have that folded down just right. I think in folding it those 4 ways, the very first step in folding it the 4 ways, it works really, really good. So if I was to, you know, glue all this down, then I would have an envelope. Here's an example of one that I did, where I took the same, did the same envelope, and then I found at the thrift store there were these really interesting little pieces of cardboard on the back. In the middle it looks like it's plexiglass. It's not at all sharp, and it already had these little pieces, it already had a brown border around it, so that really nothing needs to be done to these. So I've got thicker ones and then I've got thinner ones. And so I'm trying to use them for a little texture in some of the books where I want to put something there. But so I just took one of those and put it on here, and then I put the word memories. And of course I had glued it all the way down, and then I put some lace on it, so it really makes a whole book, so that if you were to take this, a whole page, you would, you know, have the bottom here, you'd have the lace coming out. That would be a little, and you would glue it down like that, and then I can add any number of different pieces of adornment, embellishments, ephemera, you know, to make it work. The other thing that I found that is working pretty good is where I take, I found these puzzle pieces in a bin at the thrift shop. So it's only 3 of them, so that's all I have to work with. And I take my, I glue it down, and when it gets dry really good, glued it onto and see, it's pretty crinkly. You know, you could actually even do a little stain on these and end up having a nice, you know, crinkle if you put, you know, let them put it, say, you know, run it through a tea stain, and then I would set it outside in my backyard and just let it dry, and then you know, use it for pockets or different things. And so it will work for lots of different things. So I don't feel so bad that I have all of this origami paper if I can come up with ways to use it. And then while I was looking for ways to use it, I came across other things that I have had and been collecting over the years that will work really good together. So the puzzle pieces are a good find, and I learned about doing the puzzle pieces. I didn't really even know I had any, from Shell, who does a lot of videos. I'm not quite sure what her page is called, but it has really, you know, she has some really good ideas for using, you know, different techniques and things like that. So what I'm going to do here now is take a little nail file and just sort of file it down and cut off what I don't need anymore. I've got my scissors here, and just cut it off so it's a nice rounded edge, and go around it. To make sure that I've got the edges looking great. Right here is another little piece of open area. There we go. And I will just continue to file this until I can, you know, get a nice rounded edge. And then if I have any that still has just a tiny little space or need for glue that didn't quite make it, then I can always do that, put that down. And then what I'd want to do is take my, you know, some sort of I have here the vintage photo, for instance, and I would put a little stain on it. And it would just make a nice, you could put a flower here, you can put a butterfly, you can put, you know, just different things on here to give it a little, and reuse these puzzle pieces and this origami paper. So then what I did was I took once I've gotten the piece together, then I took a piece of that plexiglass, only thinner, and I added a word to it, and now it'll just make a nice little embellishment. Of course, you know, I would need to work on making sure that I had all of my ends just exactly right, and you know, make sure that I've got the right type of paper taken off and fixed, but this is just one example of how origami paper, or any paper as far as that goes, would work on odd puzzle pieces. What I've done here is I have taken a sheet of paper and folded it, and another sheet and folded it, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it, I'm going to take this and about the same distance. And I can sew these together to make little pages. So this is what I would want to do would be to take, take the sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch to make sure that they worked. And then put both of these like this. And then just by folding the paper in, like this, then I can come up with different ways to make it work. So let me show you also this. So here's one that I've already finished, but it's stuck. And I actually did some sewing of some lace on it. I haven't sewn that together yet. But here's one that has a pocket that can be sewn, that can be used. And then what I did was I sewed this piece and this piece together to make a page that you fold over. And then you can, put designs on them and things of this nature. Now I would need to glue because I did leave wide corners open in case I wanted to make those magnets on the envelope. But just a lot of fun how you can take something like this and turn it into a beautiful page pocket, and then have tucks and lace and washi tape and postcards and decorative sewing, all kinds of things to put it together. So one of the things I've been doing simple folding, but I haven't been doing too much complex folding. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to fold it. It's just a single sheet. I'm going to fold it together right here. Do my 4 folds so that it comes up. Do the fold on this side, and now this is actually not origami paper. This is two-sided paper. So showing how to take two-sided paper and make it work. One could do it with origami paper as well. But once you do your 4 folds, then you take this one. Let's see. You take it like this, then you fold this down, and by folding it in the corners, I can see where this needs to go. So I put it exactly where it needs to go. And then I'm going to fold this like this, like I'm making an envelope. And then do the same on this side. Now I have the envelope again. But what I'm going to do now is take this and fold it up, which it's already folded, and then put it down here. So I've already folded that. I think the key to working with origami or working with these kinds of paper folds is to make sure that your corners are exactly 90 degrees and that you have folded it and used your bone folder and gotten it just exactly the way you want it. And here now I have a pocket. So if I had, say, this was a page and I wanted to put this on it, but I could also put a decoration on it. I have here, found here just odd things, that you pick up at the thrift store. These look like somebody cut off pieces of a collar, because this end looks like it's got threads on it. But I can see if I didn't want this to be if I wanted this to be more of an apron look, I can see folding it like this and having the design have a softer, more lacy look to it. One of the things that I did do with the fold of one of them, if I can find it, is I put a lace around the top part, and it worked really, really nice. But anyway, here are some that I have done that show how you can, just have the contrast of the papers is what, you know, kind of gives it what it needs. Here's some more. It just depends on what two pieces of paper you decide you want to put together. So lots of ways to use origami sheets for different looks, different types of folds and pockets. It's just a lot of fun. Here's the one I was talking about. I put some lace around it, and I probably want to do a little bit of this on the side, or maybe even this. You could even have a flower or something there. You could have different types of trims. This is one of those types of ribbons that you can loop thin, lace that you can loop thin ribbon in between. So, well, that is it. I think using some of these tools, using some of my stash, finding different ways to come up with different ways of using this. Here's another example. If I wanted to take, I have some tiny little seashells, and I can see possibly having, you know, a couple of seashells along the top here. So the tiny little seashells I have found over the years, you know, at the beach. And then sometimes you can buy bags of shells, and you can just come up with all sorts of different seashells and different ways to use it. Buttons is another thing that can be used. Or I can use a bulb pin and put something on it if I wanted to. So lots of different examples of how to use origami paper, and I'm going to continue to explore different ways because I have a lot of origami paper that needs to be used. So thank you for watching. I appreciate your coming along. This is a beautiful journey. This whole journal making has just really smitten me. And I just find untold ways to try to use different techniques and look at ideas that people have come up with and try to incorporate them in with the things that I have found. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk again.